The maid tried to stop him, but the millionaire mistook her for someone else and kissed her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The hum of the hotel's grand ballroom spilled into the side hallway like a warm river of music and laughter, but Lila Hart stood frozen beneath a gold sconce, her pulse thumping unevenly against her collarbone. She had only meant to stop the man from entering, just a simple warning about the lights flickering inside. The kind of technical glitch that could ruin a millionaire's evening and, more importantly, get her written up again. She smoothed the front of her black Maid uniform, the fabric still warm from rushing between floors, and whispered to herself, "Just say it politely, then get back to work." But before she could try again, the tall man in the tailored charcoal suit turned abruptly, the movement sharp enough to send a shiver down her spine. Ethan Crawford. She did not know his name, yet not officially, but she recognized the kind of presence that filled a space before a word was spoken. His shoulders were tense, his jaw tight, like someone preparing for a confrontation he did not want to have. Lila lifted a hand. "Sir, wait. You can't go in just yet." His eyes, a stormy gray under the chandelier glow, swept over her in a quick, aching second, and something in his expression softened, cracked, reassembled into something vulnerable. He stepped closer, so close she felt the warmth of him, despite the cool draft sneaking through the service door behind her. "Please," she tried again, her voice catching. "There's a small issue inside." But Ethan didn't seem to hear the words, only the trembling in them. For a heartbeat, he looked as if he were staring through time itself, searching for someone he had already lost. Then, with a breath that sounded like surrender, he reached for her waist, not forceful, not aggressive, just a mistaken tenderness, and lowered his forehead to hers. Lila's breath fractured. She barely managed a whisper, "Sir?" And before she could step back, before she could explain, before she could even fully understand, his lips brushed hers in a soft, searching kiss. Just 1 second. One impossible, suspended second that tasted like winter air and something heartbreakingly gentle. Then Ethan froze. He pulled back slowly, his brows folding as if the world had just tilted beneath him. "You're not her," he murmured. The words sliced the moment clean in half. Heat rushed up Lila's neck as embarrassment crashed over her. She stepped back, nearly bumping the housekeeping cart behind her. I'm sorry," she stammered, though she wasn't even sure what she was apologizing for. Her heart pounded so hard, she could barely breathe. Ethan lifted a hand as if to stop her, confusion and regret battling in his eyes. But Lila had already turned, already fleeing down the quiet hallway, her footsteps swallowed by the carpet, the taste of a stranger's accidental kiss still trembling on her lips. Lila did not stop moving until she reached the service elevator, her breath tight in her chest, her fingers trembling around the edge of her housekeeping cart. The hallway behind her was silent again, the music from the ballroom muffled by thick walls, as if the world had sealed the moment away. She jabbed the elevator button with the side of her wrist, afraid her hands would shake too visibly if she used her fingers. When the doors slid open, she stepped inside and pressed the button for the basement level, the only place she could disappear for a minute without being questioned. As the elevator hummed downward, she pressed her palm over her heart, willing it to settle. She whispered into the empty space, "It was a mistake, just a mistake. Forget it." But her lips still felt warm, and her mind still replayed the second when Ethan's forehead touched hers, like a memory that refused to fade. When the doors opened, she pushed the cart into the narrow hallway filled with detergent, warm laundry air, and the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. She felt safer here, surrounded by washing machines instead of chandeliers. Lila pulled out her tiny silver coin, the one her mother had given her before she passed, the one she rubbed whenever her nerves threatened to get the better of her. She rolled it between her fingers. "Stay focused," she whispered. "Do your shift, keep your job." Upstairs, Ethan Crawford stood exactly where she had left him, staring down the hallway as if he could still hear her footsteps. He exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. He had acted on instinct, a terrible one, guided by a memory he should have let go months ago. He had seen the curve of a shoulder, the soft shape of a silhouette, and for one foolish heartbeat he had believed someone from his past had come back. But she was not her. She was a maid, a stranger, someone he had startled and embarrassed. He replayed the moment she looked up at him with wide, startled eyes. Her voice had been soft, cautious. She had been trying to warn him about something, yet he had been too caught in his own head to truly listen. The realization made his chest tighten with something that felt dangerously close to regret. His assistant, Grace, approached from the ballroom door. "Sir, they are waiting for you inside. Are you all right?" Ethan blinked back into the present. "Yes, just a misunderstanding." He glanced toward the hallway again, but Lila was long gone. Down in the laundry room, Lila tried to steady her breathing as she sorted linens, but her thoughts kept drifting upward, to the man with the gray eyes, who had made a mistake that would probably cost her peace of mind for days. She imagined him now, somewhere under the chandeliers, acting completely unfazed, while her entire world still felt tilted. She squeezed the silver coin, grounding herself. "It meant nothing to him," she told herself softly, "and it has to mean nothing to me." Yet, when her shift ended an hour later and she stepped out into the quiet staff hallway, she noticed a shadow at the far end. Ethan stood there, hands in his pockets, posture uncertain in a way that did not match the crisp perfection of his suit. He lifted his gaze the moment he sensed her approaching. Something unspoken passed between them, a question, a hesitation, a quiet apology forming in the space of a heartbeat. Lila froze, unsure whether to walk toward him or turn around. Ethan took one slow step forward, his voice gentle in the dim hallway. "I owe you an explanation." And just like that, the night she wanted to forget refused to let her go. For a moment, Lila considered running again, the same way she had in the hallway earlier, but something in Ethan's voice anchored her feet to the carpet. It was not an order, not the clipped tone of a demanding guest. It was softer, almost uncertain, as if he feared she might vanish if he spoke too loudly. She kept a respectful distance, her hands clasped in front of her apron to hide the faint tremble. "You do not owe me anything, sir," she said quietly. "It was just a misunderstanding. I should not have been in your way." Ethan shook his head, a quiet breath leaving him. "You were doing your job. I was the one who crossed a line." His eyes moved away for a second, as though the memory of what happened replayed in a way that unsettled him too. "I thought you were someone else. Someone I should not have been thinking about tonight." Lila wished the hallway lights were dimmer, less revealing of the warmth rising in her cheeks. She wanted to ask who he had mistaken her for, but that was not her place, and she knew better than to pry. "It is all right," she murmured. "I am not upset." It was partly true. She was not angry, she was overwhelmed. Ethan took a step closer, slow enough to give her time to retreat if she wanted. She did not move. "I would like to apologize properly," he said, "if you would allow me that." Lila blinked, surprised. No one of his status ever asked permission for anything. "There is really no need, sir. I am just a maid." He lifted his gaze sharply. "Do not say it like that. It makes it sound like your job makes you smaller than the rest of us." His tone was firm but not unkind, and the unexpected defense sent a flutter through her chest. She looked down at the silver coin in her pocket, running her thumb along the edge to steady her nerves. "Thank you," she said softly, "but I should return to the laundry before Miss Carroll starts looking for me." Ethan hesitated, as if wanting to say more. "May I at least walk you there?" The offer startled her. A millionaire walking a maid through a staff corridor was not something that happened in real life. "Sir, that is not necessary," she said quickly. "Guests are not supposed to be in staff areas." He gave a faint smile, one corner of his mouth lifting in a way that made him look unexpectedly human. "Then consider this strictly between us." Her heart jumped at the thought, but she stepped aside carefully. "If you insist, sir." They walked together down the quiet hallway, their footsteps soft against the carpet. Lila kept her eyes forward, trying to ignore how tall he seemed beside her, how his presence filled the narrow space without ever feeling oppressive. "What is your name?" he asked suddenly. She hesitated for a second, unsure if staff was even allowed to give personal details, but something in his tone made her trust him. "Lila," she said. Lila Hart. Ethan repeated it under his breath, as if committing it to memory. Lila, I am Ethan. She already knew his name from the guest list she was not supposed to see, but hearing him offer it to her directly felt strangely intimate. When they reached the laundry room door, she stopped. This is as far as you can go, sir. He nodded, but he did not step away immediately. His eyes lingered on her, thoughtful, maybe even a little conflicted. I hope I can make up for earlier, he said. Not tonight, Lila replied gently. Tonight was a lot. A soft breath left him, not quite a laugh, not quite a sigh. I understand. She slipped inside the laundry room, the warm air rushing over her like a blanket. As the door closed slowly behind her, she caught one last glimpse of Ethan standing alone in the hallway, staring at the spot where she had just been, as if the night had left him with a question he did not yet know how to ask. The laundry room settled into its usual rhythm, the steady thrum of machines and the warmth of circulating air wrapping around Lila like a shield. She folded linens with practiced precision, but her thoughts drifted again and again to the man standing alone in the hallway moments earlier. Ethan. He had spoken her name as if it mattered, as if he had wanted to understand the person behind the uniform. She tried to shake the feeling away, reminding herself that men like him did not orbit the worlds of women like her. Still, the memory lingered, like a faint glow she could not quite dim. When her shift finally ended near midnight, she clocked out, slipped her coin into her pocket, and walked toward the staff exit. The cool night breeze brushed her cheeks as she stepped outside. She pulled her coat tighter and hurried toward the bus stop at the edge of the hotel property. She had only taken a few steps when she noticed a familiar figure near the curb, hands in his pockets, posture thoughtful. Ethan turned at the soft sound of her footsteps, his expression eased, as if he had been waiting for her. Lila, he said gently, I hoped I would catch you before you left. Her breath caught. Sir, is something wrong with the ballroom event? He shook his head. No. I just wanted to make sure you got home safely. You seemed shaken earlier. Lila blinked, stunned by the unexpected concern. I take the bus, sir. It is a long ride, but I am used to it. Ethan looked past her toward the dimly lit bus shelter. This late at night? That cannot be very safe. She offered a small, careful smile. It is what I can afford, he hesitated, as if weighing his next words. Then at least let me wait with you. The offer sent a flutter through her chest. Sir, you do not need to do that. Guests never wait outside with staff. I am not here as a guest, Ethan replied quietly. I am here as someone who feels responsible for how your night turned out. Lila looked down at her worn shoes, unsure how to respond. The moment stretched between them, soft and fragile. A distant engine rumbled as a bus approached. Lila stepped back. Thank you, sir, truly, but I will be all right. Ethan nodded, but his eyes held a depth she could not decipher. Before you go, he said, reaching slowly into his coat pocket. I wanted to return this. Her heart skipped as he held out her silver coin. She had not even realized she had dropped it earlier. You left it near the laundry room door, he explained. It looked important. Her fingers closed around the coin, warm from his hand. It is, she whispered. It is the only thing I have left from my mother. Something softened in Ethan's gaze, a quiet understanding settling over him. Then, I am glad I found it. The bus pulled up with a hiss, headlights sweeping across the pavement. Lila took a hesitant step toward it. Good night, sir. Ethan's voice followed her, low and sincere. Good night, Lila. Please get home safe. She climbed aboard, choosing a seat by the window. As the bus pulled away, she glanced back. Ethan remained on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching the bus disappear into the night, as if he could not quite let the moment end. And Lila, clutching her silver coin, felt something unfamiliar bloom quietly in her chest, something she was not ready to name. The next morning arrived with a gray sky stretching over the city, the kind that made everything feel quieter than usual. Lila stepped off the second bus of her commute and hurried toward the hotel's service entrance, her breath forming little clouds in the chilly air. She clutched her silver coin in her pocket, rubbing it once for courage before slipping it away. It had been hours since she last saw Ethan standing under the glow of the street lamp, yet the image refused to leave her mind. She told herself it was because the night had been unusual, and unusual things lingered. That was all, nothing more. Inside the staff hallway, The scent of coffee and detergent mixed in the air as morning shifts began. Lila hung her coat in her locker when she heard footsteps approaching. She turned and found Carol, the senior housekeeper, arms folded and expression tight. "Hart," she said, "management wants to see you." Lila's heart dropped. Meetings with management rarely meant anything good for staff. "Did something happen?" she asked. Carol sighed. "They did not say. But you should go now." Lila made her way to the administrative office on the second floor, each step feeling heavier. She replayed the night in her mind, searching for anything she had done wrong. Had someone seen the moment in the hallway? Had Ethan complained? When she reached the office, she was surprised to find not a manager, but Ethan himself waiting inside. He stood near the window, hands clasped behind his back, looking out across the morning traffic. When he turned and saw her, his expression softened with relief. "Lila, I am glad you came." She froze in the doorway. "Sir, why am I here? Am I in trouble?" "No," he said quickly. "Not at all. I asked for you to be called up." Her heart thudded once, then twice, uncertain. He gestured to the seat across from him. "Please, sit." She obeyed, folding her hands in her lap to keep them from trembling. Ethan took a moment before speaking, as if organizing thoughts he was not used to sharing. "About last night," he began. "I want to make sure you understand that what happened was not your fault. It was mine entirely." Lila swallowed. "I know you did not mean it, sir. You were tired. You mistook me for someone else. It happens." But Ethan shook his head, a quiet frustration flickering in his eyes not at her, but at himself. "It should not have happened, and I do not want you to feel unsafe in your workplace because of my actions." His sincerity stirred something warm and unexpected inside her. She had never seen a guest, let alone a millionaire, sit with discomfort over how staff might feel. "Thank you," she said softly. "I appreciate that." Ethan hesitated, then continued. "I also asked to see you because there is something I would like to make right. You work incredibly hard. I saw how late you stayed. I saw the way you cared about doing things properly." Lila blinked, completely unprepared for praise. "I was just doing my job." "You were doing more than that," he said gently, "and I wanted to offer you an opportunity, only if you want it." Her breath caught. "What kind of opportunity?" Ethan sat down across from her, lowering his voice, as if sharing something he did not want half the hotel to overhear. "I am renovating one of my company's public properties. It is a small event facility across town. We need someone trustworthy to assist with coordination and upkeep during the first phase." Lila stared at him, stunned. "Sir, I am just a maid." "You are not just anything," Ethan replied. "You are capable, and you deserve a chance to grow if you want to." She looked down at her hands, overwhelmed by the sudden shift her morning had taken. No one had ever offered her anything beyond extra shifts. No one had ever seen her as someone worth investing in. When she finally looked up, Ethan's eyes were steady, patient, waiting for her answer. For the first time, she wondered if last night's mistake had opened a door neither of them expected. The room felt smaller as Lila searched Ethan's face, trying to understand whether his offer was real or just a gesture made out of guilt. People like her did not receive opportunities like this. Not from men in tailored suits who lived in penthouses far above the world she struggled through. "I do not know what to say," she whispered. Ethan leaned forward slightly, his voice steady. "Say whatever is true for you. There is no pressure." She exhaled slowly, her fingers brushing the edge of her silver coin through her pocket. "Why me, sir? You barely know me." He held her gaze, patient and earnest. "Because I saw someone who works hard, thinks carefully, and takes responsibility. That matters more to me than a resume." His words warmed her in a way she had not expected, but part of her still hesitated. "I have never coordinated anything. I clean rooms, I fold towels. I do not know how to manage events." Ethan shook his head. "You would not be alone. You would shadow a small team. Start with basic oversight and guest preparation. I know you can handle that." Lila blinked, overwhelmed. For a moment, she imagined herself in a clean office, wearing something nicer than her worn uniform, being treated as someone who contributed beyond mopping floors. It felt impossible, like a dream she had never allowed herself to have. "Sir," I need to think about it, she said gently. This is a lot. Of course, Ethan replied. Take all the time you need. He stood then, giving her space. But just before she rose from her chair, he added quietly, Lila, this is not pity. I do not offer chances to make myself feel better. I offer them because I believe in the person I am giving them to. The sincerity in his tone made her chest tighten. She nodded once, unable to speak. With a soft breath, she slipped out of the office and headed back down the service hallway, her steps unsteady. The hotel suddenly felt different, as if she were walking through a place that might soon become part of her past. During her lunch break, she sat alone on an outdoor bench behind the hotel, watching the wind push dry leaves across the pavement. She held her coin in her palm, letting the familiar weight ground her. Her mother had always told her, "Do not fear good things. They are just as real as the hard things." Lila whispered those words to herself now, hoping they still had magic. A soft crunch of footsteps drew her attention. She looked up and found Ethan standing a respectful distance away. "I did not mean to interrupt," he said. "I just wanted to check in." She offered a small smile. "I am all right, still thinking." "Thinking is good," he replied, returning her smile. "Most people rush decisions. You do not." He hesitated, then sat on the far end of the bench, leaving space between them. The silence that followed was not uncomfortable. It felt gentle, like the quiet moments that live between two people who are beginning to understand each other. After a while, Ethan spoke again. "The person I mistook you for." He paused, choosing his words with care. "She was someone I cared about, but things ended. I reacted from an old reflex." Lila nodded slowly. "Everyone has memories that pull them back sometimes." Ethan looked at her with something almost grateful in his eyes. "Yes, exactly that." A breeze lifted a strand of hair across her cheek, and she tucked it behind her ear. "If I take the job," she said softly, "I do not want it to change how people here see me. I do not want special treatment." "You would not get special treatment," Ethan assured her. "You would get expectations and support." Lila let out a small breath, half nerves, half hope. "I will give you an answer soon." Ethan rose to his feet. "Whatever you decide, I will respect it." But as he walked away, he glanced back once, his expression thoughtful, almost protective, as if a new understanding had formed quietly between them, one neither of them was ready to name. For the rest of the day, Lila moved through her shift with a distracted rhythm, folding linens and refreshing rooms, while her thoughts floated back to the bench behind the hotel. To Ethan's voice, to the offer she still did not know how to process. By late afternoon, the soft glow of sunset pressed through the service windows, turning the hallway a muted gold. Lila stepped into the break room to refill her water bottle, when hushed voices reached her from just outside the door. She froze at the sound of her own name. "Lila Hart," one of the front desk attendants whispered. "She got called to management this morning. Something must be going on." Another voice chimed in. "I heard the millionaire guest, the tall one from the gala, asked to see her. Twice." A small scoff followed. "People like her do not get noticed unless something inappropriate happened." Lila's stomach tightened. She stepped back before they could spot her, the sting of their assumptions pressing deep. She had expected questions, but she had hoped they would not turn into rumors. She left the break room quietly and returned to the hallway, her thoughts heavy. She tried to brush off the hurt, reminding herself that she had done nothing wrong. But sometimes words burrowed deeper than they should. Near the end of her shift, she pushed her cart toward the far wing of the hotel, where evening light slanted across the carpeting. As she turned a corner, she almost collided with Ethan. He stepped back quickly, concern flashing across his face. "Lila, I am sorry. I did not mean to startle you." She steadied herself, offering a polite nod. "It is all right, sir." But Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly, reading the tension she tried to hide. "Something is wrong," he said quietly. "Did someone speak to you?" Lila hesitated. She did not want to cause trouble for anyone. "It is nothing, just staff talk. It will pass. Tell me," he urged softly. She looked down, twisting the edge of a cleaning cloth between her fingers. "Some people think I did something to get your attention, or that I am trying to get special treatment." Ethan exhaled slowly, a look of regret passing across his features. This is my fault. I brought attention to you by asking to meet." "You were not wrong to do that," she said quickly. "But I cannot lose this job. My sister depends on me. I cannot afford people thinking I am crossing lines." Her honesty seemed to weigh on him. Ethan lowered his voice. "Then let me fix this. Let me speak to the staff, or management, or—" "No, please," Lila interrupted, her voice tight with urgency. "That would make things worse. If they see you defending me, it will sound like the rumors are true." Ethan paused, clearly realizing she was right. His gaze softened, troubled yet understanding. "I never meant to complicate your life." "I know," she said, her voice gentler now, "but my world is different from yours. People look for reasons to doubt someone like me." A quiet moment settled between them, warm and fragile. Ethan took a small step closer, careful not to cross a line. "For what it is worth," he said, "I see your worth clearly. None of this changes that." Lila felt her chest tighten, her silver coin warm in her pocket like a pulse. Before she could respond, Carol appeared at the far end of the hallway. "Hart," she called, "front desk needs you." Lila nodded and began to push her cart forward, but as she passed Ethan, he spoke in a low voice meant only for her. "Whatever you decide about the job, do not let anyone else's doubts become your own." The words followed her down the hallway like a steadying hand on her back, and for the first time all day, she felt a thin thread of strength returning. The front desk assignment finished quickly, but the weight of the whispered assumptions clung to Lila long after she left the counter. By the time her shift ended, she felt drained in a way that went deeper than physical exhaustion. She stepped out into the cool evening air, letting the quiet settle around her like a soothing blanket. She pulled her coat close, walked toward the bus stop, and tried to steady her thoughts. She did not hear the footsteps behind her until a familiar voice called gently, "Lila." She turned and saw Ethan standing near the lamppost, his expression calm but concerned. "I want to make sure you got through the rest of the day all right." She offered a tired but genuine smile. It was fine, busy. But Ethan saw through the careful tone. "I am sorry that my presence caused trouble for you today." She shook her head. "You did not mean for any of that to happen. People talk, it is nothing new." He stepped a little closer, but still kept a respectful distance. "You should not have to get used to being misunderstood." Lila looked down at the silver coin in her hand, running her thumb along its worn edge. "Life is easier when you expect less from people," she murmured. Ethan's voice softened. "I disagree. I think people often rise to the expectations placed on them. They just need someone to believe they can." She lifted her gaze slowly, meeting the quiet sincerity in his eyes. Her chest tightened with something that felt like warmth, like being seen in a way she had never expected. He continued, "I meant what I said earlier. I see potential in you. I did not imagine offering you the job. It was not charity." She inhaled carefully, fighting the instinct to shrink back. "It is hard to imagine I deserve something bigger than where I am." Ethan studied her gently. "Maybe that is because no one has ever told you that you do." A silence settled between them, soft and fragile, filled with the hum of traffic and the distant glow of passing cars. Lila tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "What if I take the job and fail? What if I disappoint you?" "Then we adjust," Ethan said simply. "People grow by trying, not by staying where they feel safe." The bus appeared at the end of the street, its headlights sweeping across the pavement. Lila felt time tightening around her, pushing her to choose. She looked at Ethan again. His expression held encouragement, not pressure. Hope, not expectation. She took a breath. "I will try it, sir. I will take the job." Ethan's relief showed in the soft curve of his smile. "Then I look forward to what you will do." Her heart fluttered at the understated warmth in his voice. "But," she added gently, "I need one thing from you." "Anything," he said. "Do not let people think there is something between us that is not true. I want to earn respect, not rumors." Ethan nodded slowly, understanding the deeper meaning behind her words. "I promise. From this point on, everything will be by your lead. No misunderstandings." The bus pulled up. Lila stepped toward it, feeling lighter than she had all day. Before she boarded, she turned back one more time. Ethan stood under the lamppost, watching her with a quiet steadiness that felt strangely like safety. For the first time, Lila allowed herself to think that maybe, just maybe, her life had begun to shift. The next morning unfolded with a gentle brightness that slipped through the city skyline, hinting at change long before Lila even opened her eyes. She woke earlier than usual, her stomach fluttering with a mix of nerves and a quiet excitement she had not felt in years. Her new position was scheduled to begin today. No more linen carts, no more hurried steps through service corridors. Today she would step into a different world, even if only by a few inches at first. After a long bus ride, she reached the renovated event facility Ethan had mentioned. It sat on a quiet corner of the city, sunlight bouncing off its fresh white walls and wide glass windows. Lila paused at the entrance, gripping her silver coin for reassurance. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. Inside, a small team greeted her warmly, introducing her to schedules, layouts, and entry logs. Everything felt unfamiliar, yet strangely doable. She listened carefully, took notes, and asked questions when she needed to. By midday, she was assisting with a small vendor walkthrough, pointing out details she had noticed others missed. People nodded, impressed. For the first time, she felt herself standing a little taller. As the afternoon sun began to soften, she stepped outside to catch her breath. She did not expect to see Ethan waiting near the entrance, hands in his pockets, expression relaxed in a way she had never seen at the hotel. "How was your first day?" he asked. Lila blinked in surprise. "Sir, what are you doing here?" He shrugged lightly. "I wanted to see how you were settling in, that is all." She laughed softly, a sound she had not realized she had been holding back. "It was good. Better than I expected," Ethan nodded, studying her face with quiet approval. "I knew you would take to it quickly." She looked down, shy but grateful. "Thank you. I am still nervous, but it feels different here. Like maybe I can be someone more than what people assumed." "You already are someone more," Ethan replied gently. "The job did not create that. It only revealed it." His words warmed her more deeply than she intended to let show. A breeze drifted between them, carrying the faint scent of city roses from a nearby planter. Lila tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "There is something I want to say," she murmured. "When all of this started, I was scared. Scared of losing my job, scared of how people would talk, scared of you, a little." Ethan's brows lifted in surprise. "Of me? Not because you were unkind," she explained quickly. "Because you were someone whose world touched mine by accident. I thought the moment would crush me." Her voice softened, but it did not. It opened something instead. A quiet stillness settled around them, almost tender. Ethan stepped closer, keeping his movements deliberate, careful, as if respecting a boundary they had built together. "I'm glad it opened something," he said, "for both of us." Lila felt her pulse quicken, but not from fear this time. Ethan's eyes held a warmth she had not seen before, an unspoken promise of understanding rather than assumption. She lifted her silver coin between her fingers, letting it catch the light. "My mother said this coin brings luck," she whispered. "But maybe the luck was meeting someone who saw me differently." Ethan's smile deepened, soft and sincere. "Then I hope the luck continues." For a long, gentle moment, they stood together in the late afternoon sunlight, neither rushing the silence, neither retreating from the quiet closeness that had grown between them. And for the first time, since everything began, Lila felt completely steady, rooted not in fear or uncertainty, but in the quiet certainty that something honest, something hopeful, had begun to bloom.